So let's talk about the PS5 Pro. I've been playing one for about a week before it even launched, and I've played about 10 PS5 Pro enhanced games on it. And the two questions I get asked most is, one, is it worth the phenomenal price that Sony are charging for it? And two, is it worth upgrading from a standard PS5? Now, both those questions, keep those in mind because I'll come to those. Let's start at the beginning. The PS5 Pro is a monster of a games console. It's the most powerful games console on the planet. It has a 16.7 teraflops graphics processing unit, which essentially is about 45% more powerful than the one in the PlayStation 5. And what that essentially means is that developers can add extra features to their games that you couldn't possibly see before. It essentially makes it more like a gaming PC because it's capable of doing things like 4K 60Hz plus ray tracing plus the full resolution, and you would never have seen that on a PlayStation 5 game. The other thing that Sony has done is it's finally realised the promise it made all those many years ago when it announced the first PlayStation 5, and that is that the PlayStation 5 would be capable of 8K gaming. Well, that was poppycock. However, the PlayStation 5 Pro finally does do that. There are two games at the moment that do it. Specifically, F1 2024 is a really good example of how to play games in 8K 60 frames per second if you've got a TV that's capable. But then not many of us will do that, if we're being honest. What we want to do is we want to play it at 4K and we want to play with ray tracing switched on and get all the graphical benefits that this machine is capable of. And there comes in that question, is it worth the money? If you consider the specifications of a gaming PC that is a very similar kind of setup to the PlayStation 5 Pro, then you're really honestly going to be looking at something like £1,000 or $1,000. Also, if you consider that the iPhone 16 that you may or may not have in your pocket also costs around between £700 and £1,000, you're kind of getting an idea. And quite frankly, I use my PlayStation 5 more often than I use my phone. Whether you should upgrade from a PS5 to the PS5 Pro though is another thing entirely. What you have to remember is that the PS5 Pro's designed to make games look better. That is what it does. It does barely anything else. It is a PlayStation 5 that makes your games look better. Do they play better? Well, that's arguable because quite frankly, any of the games that you want to play in high frame rates already offer that option. However, they offer it at 1080p or lower resolution, whereas the PlayStation 5 Pro ups the resolution, allows you to play those games with more detail, better graphics, but at the same frame rates. So you're still getting the same kind of latency, you're still getting the same kind of gameplay. There are caveats to that. If you're playing a PS4 game, there is such a thing called enhanced graphics boost. I can't remember the exact term for it, but it actually will enhance your PS4 games. And if you're playing normal PS5 games that haven't been enhanced by the developers, then there is an argument to suggest that those with unlocked frame rates will play a little bit better because they will be able to use the graphical power of PlayStation 5 Pro to have better frame rates. Yes, you are getting a bit of a fraction of an upgrade, but not a lot. What you won't be doing is you won't be sitting there going, I've never seen Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart like this. You'll see it look better, but it won't play any better. It'll play exactly the same as the PlayStation 5 equivalent. So if you are a little bit strapped for cash or you're looking for a Black Friday deal, then maybe a PlayStation 5 is probably your better bet. But if you have a really good quality, say an OLED TV that's 65 inches or above, and you want something to make that sing, PlayStation 5 Pro's your bet. It's the best games console on the planet. And that is essentially why it's worth the price.